I don't get it.
A psychologist who worked for the San Antonio Spurs has sued the team and former player Josh Primo, claiming he exposed himself to her multiple times during private sessions. Hillary Cawthon worked as a performance psychologist for the team, and a lawsuit filed Thursday alleges that 19-year-old Primo exposed his genitals to her on 9 different occasions, despite, quote, her numerous complaints about Primo's improper sexual conduct to the organization's leadership.
Remember this story?
Primo has denied any wrongdoing, and Spurs CEO R.C. Buford just released this statement, quote, "We disagree with the accuracy of the facts, details, and timeline presented today. While we'd like to share more information, we will allow the legal process to play out."
San Antonio Spurs draftee Joshua Primo, the number 12 selection in the 2021 National Basketball Association draft, would be suspended, then released by the team just a few days into the season.
I'm disheartened to be standing here sharing the events of my story. But I'm also very humbled and honored to have the place to share words that others may have not been able to. I have many things, but I'm not alone in the fight to do the right thing.
Dr. Hillary Cawthon would bring a lawsuit against the San Antonio Spurs guard from ESPN. Per that lawsuit, Primo, this is per the suit, exposed himself to Dr. Cawthon a total of 9 times. The first incident allegedly occurred during a psychological session with Primo in December of 2021, and he was reported to Spurs management in January 2022. She would claim, Dr. Cawthon, the Spurs would ignore her complaints, hoping the organization could ignore and then cover up his actions. The lawsuit was filed in Bexar County, Texas. The Spurs organization, for the suit, was willing to sacrifice Dr. Cawthon to keep what they hoped would one day be a star player. Attorney Tony Busby, a name I guarantee you are familiar with at this point. You might also remember him from representing over 20 women who brought lawsuits against Deshaun Watson. That was him. He spoke on behalf of his client, Dr. Cawthon, stating the team knew more than 10 months prior to releasing their new draftee, Joshua Primo. KSAT, an ABC affiliate in San Antonio, Texas, would go on to report Primo has scheduled one-on-one appointments with Cawthon, quote, knowing of his own sexual proclivities, he would, per the suit, expose himself to Cawthon, and in addition, he failed to obtain Cawthon's consent before the exposure. The league would then do their own investigation into the matter and released their statement. Here's what that said. The league conducted its own investigation and consulted with relevant experts. Following that process, the league found that Primo engaged in inappropriate and offensive behavior by exposing himself to women. Primo maintains that his conduct was not intentional, and the league did not find evidence that he engaged in any sexual or other misconduct apart from these brief exposures. Nevertheless, this behavior does not conform to league standards and warrants discipline. At the time, Primo would release a statement of his own. Quote, I've been seeking help to deal with previous trauma I suffered and will now take this time to focus on my mental health treatment more fully. I hope to be able to discuss these issues in the future so I can help others who have suffered in a similar way. I appreciate privacy at this time. He would go on to sign with the Los Angeles Clippers, play in only 2 games, tally a measly 10 minutes total, and then in April of 2024, he would be released by the Clippers, which takes us then to present day. The Chicago Bulls signed Primo, then subsequently waived him to send the guard to their G League affiliate, the Windy City Bulls. He is currently working his way back from an injury he suffered when he was with the Clippers. From The Athletic's Darnell Mayberry, a fantastic writer, there's a reason the Bulls are suddenly welcoming them, as in him and another player who I'll get to. They don't have much choice. Chicago backed itself into a corner 3 years ago with aggressive win-now moves that continue to have lingering effects. The team's front office relinquished 2 first-round picks in the trade that brought Nikola Vucevic and another first-rounder, a top 10 protected 2025 selection, to San Antonio, in the trade that brought DeMar DeRozan to Chicago. Recent contract extensions for Vooch, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Zach LaVine, and University of Illinois standout Ayo Dosunmu have eaten the team's salary cap flexibility. More from Mayberry. When championship-level organizations take such chances, They're seen as forward-thinking. Being at the other end of the spectrum, the Bulls haven't earned the benefit of the doubt. Nothing about the franchise over the past decade suggests it is a sanctuary for players with baggage. Bleacher Nation's Elias Schuster would see it far differently. Primo may be the kind of high upside young player who fits the same mold as the Bulls' other training camp invites. But does that make it worth it? There was simply no reason the Bulls had to do this, especially considering the talk about establishing a new culture and identity. This is a tough signing to swallow. Here's my read. And look, I am a Bulls loyalist. Everyone knows this. I have watched the glory days. I have watched the non-glory days, to put it lightly. And when I saw this, my initial feeling was, why on earth would they make this move? And then you start thinking a little bit more. And, you know, your first reaction is, this makes no sense whatsoever. It feels like a dumb move. And then you think about it, and you do remember those trades that really handcuff their salary cap. They don't have a roster that is championship level. Jerry Reinsdorf, for all his glory in the 90s, has shown that they will not sniff a Larry O'Brien trophy for quite a while. And they are in the worst position a sports franchise can be at this very moment. Middle. An 8 seed, bordering on an 8 seed, maybe a 9 seed, a 10 seed, where you're good enough to make the play-in, but you're bad enough to get out of the lottery. And they keep going here. They love being here. And for one reason, it's because a sports franchise to a billionaire is like home ownership to the middle class, where it just continues accruing value year over year over year. And that is whether you put in repairs and you fix up the place or you don't. For a billionaire sports owner, they know that this is a way to not have to spend a ton of money, and you know that your value is just going up year over year. Do I think that there should be some sort of penalty for owners taking advantage of the system? I'm not quite sure. But what I do know is, as a Chicago Bulls loyalist who watches every game, I don't recognize the team. I like a lot of the players on there. And then there are others that just make you scratch your head. Like the Josh Giddey trade. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. And not only that, I just want to confirm his age here. Not only that, it was a straight up deal for Alex Caruso. He's 21. A straight up deal for Alex Caruso when they could have had a first round selection last year at the deadline, maybe even a first and a second from the Golden State Warriors. But Karnisovich, the GM of the team, wanted more. And then what they decided to do is get a mid-range guy at 21 who was allegedly with a minor, and they bring him over to the team. So now this is, whether, you know, it's earned or not, their reputation as a ball club. Around the league, it is, oh, they traded for the guy that allegedly dated a minor, and they're signing a guy who exposed himself, according to the investigation, to a team doctor. To say I'm disappointed is an understatement. From a organizational / executive standpoint, I still will not understand the Giddey trade. I do understand the Primo signing because you're getting a guy who was drafted 12th overall. You're hoping that he rehabbed his, I mean, not just injury-wise, but mentally, that he rehabbed himself to be in a better spot where he doesn't do this again. And if he does, you are effed as an organization. You are effed. Because all that you will hear from fans, from the media, is this: we told you so. And it'll shine an already very dark spotlight on this team. Because maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they don't. But this doesn't help when you already trade for a guy that has baggage and then you make this signing. Because it is clear to me they're going to bring him up at some point this year if he does what he probably will do in the G League, which is get buckets. They think of this as a, low risk, high reward. I view it as high risk, high reward. But more importantly, he needs to get himself right. And did he do it? Remains to be seen. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.